Whether sealing a multi-million-dollar merger, meeting a new neighbor, or closing a tense political summit, humans reliably do one specific thing. We reach out, grab each other's hands, and pump them up and down. But if you pause to think about it, grasping a complete stranger's hand is a highly unusual default interaction. Why has this become our universal standard for saying hello? The physical mechanics of this gesture hide ancient survival tactics and subconscious biological functions that still influence our behavior today. The entire sequence begins before the hands even touch. The very first action is presenting an empty, open palm to the person standing across from you. In ancient Greece, around the 5th century BC, this was known as dasiosis, the joining of right hands. In an era when strangers posed an immediate, lethal threat, extending a visibly empty hand was a necessary safety protocol to prove you weren't holding a weapon. The Romans adopted this practice and modified it into the dexterorum iunctio. As seen on this Roman coin, the symbol of two joined right hands eventually became an official state sign of loyalty and agreement. But the Roman variation often involved gripping the other person's forearm rather than the hand. This allowed each person to physically feel for daggers concealed inside a rival's sleeves. The standard greeting of the modern world began as a method of physical verification, a practical tool for security in an environment where trust had to be physically proven. Once the hands are locked, the second physical phase begins, the vigorous up and down shaking motion. This specific action can be traced to medieval Europe, where knights in heavy armor utilized the pump as an active physical defense. By violently shaking a rival's arm, a knight could force any small, loosely concealed weapons to literally fall out of the other man's armor and drop to the ground. The repetitive pumping motion you use in a job interview is the surviving remnant of a medieval search for hidden weapons. Then comes the moment the hands lock tightly together to establish a firm grip. Traditional 17th century greetings were designed to enforce rigid social hierarchies. Lower-class citizens were expected to bow, curtsy, or remove their hats when greeting a social superior. The Quakers disrupted this by adopting the handshake as a tool for equality. By insisting on clasping hands, they ensured that both people stood face-to-face as absolute equals, regardless of their wealth or titles. This egalitarian gesture eventually influenced early common law. The physical clasping of hands replaced older methods of resolving disputes, becoming a recognized pledge of fair dealing and cooperative intent. Locking the grip permanently transformed the handshake from a suspicious weapon check into a legally recognized declaration of trust. The final physical action is the release, pulling your hand away from the other person. This specific moment was the focus of a study by the Weizmann Institute of Science, which investigated what happens once we let go. The researchers discovered that within minutes of shaking hands, humans reliably and subconsciously bring their own hands to their noses to sample chemical signals left behind by the other person. To verify this, the team monitored subjects with hidden cameras and nasal catheters. They found that airflow through the nasal passages doubled when a hand was near the face, confirming the subjects were actively sniffing. This chromatogram confirms the physical transfer of chemical molecules, showing signaling compounds like squalene and hexadecanoic acid on a sterile glove after a single handshake. The bar graph below shows a massive spike in these transferred molecules compared to the clean baseline. The study also revealed distinct patterns. After shaking hands with someone of the same gender, participants more than doubled the time spent sniffing their right shaking hand. After cross-gender greetings, they increased the sniffing of their left, non-shaking hand. These results lead the researchers to conclude that the handshake facilitates social chemosignaling. While the process is subliminal, it allows us to subconsciously sample information about a person's physical health, their relative social standing, or their overall dominance. The handshake functions on two tracks at once, as a visible social agreement and a silent biological exchange. Global health threats have recently forced us to temporarily abandon this contact in favor of alternatives like the elbow bump. Yet the gesture's roots in human survival and chemical communication are so deeply ingrained in our history that it is unlikely to be permanently replaced. The next time you shake a stranger's hand, remember that you are performing a sequence thousands of years in the making, proving you aren't an assassin, declaring your social equality, and subconsciously sampling their biological profile.